to talk about Bitcoin. Right now, we're at a point in Bitcoin where it's very much undecided. The fear greed index is at 48. People don't know what's about to happen right now. We're going to talk about this. Remember, I'm not a financial advisor, none of it's financial advice, but let's get straight into it. So, currently, Bitcoin has been sideways for the last week, only down 0.2% in the last 7 days. But it's still up 2.9% in the last 30 days and still up 83% in the last year. What people want to know is Bitcoin about to give back all those gains? That's what everybody wants to know about right now. Because when we look at the daily chart, we see something that could be a little bit concerning. What if we are creating a downtrend? Right now, personally, I think Bitcoin might be still bullish here, but some people are looking at it like, man, what if this is the end of everything, right? What if this thing is coming down? And that's what a lot of people are worried about. Now, the fear and greed index is at 48, which is fairly neutral. But look at where the fear greed index just now came from within the past 30 days. So the fear greed index was all the way up at 56. So it's closer to the greed. But now you can kind of see, it's moving down just a little bit, right? People are becoming a little bit more fearful. They're like, wait, why has Bitcoin not taken off yet? And look, the fear greed index was just now very, very high inside of July, around 70. So people were very greedy in July. What happened in Bitcoin around July? Well, if you look for the past 3 months around July, people were greedy, which means what? Yes, Bitcoin was very bullish because people were so greedy, but you should have been fearful. So look, that's when the prices started to pull back. And then around August 2nd, what was Bitcoin doing around August 2nd? So if we look in the last 30 days around, it's not going to be in the last 30 days, but if we look around August 2nd, we can see Bitcoin was at the 51. So it started to go closer to fear. So it dropped off of that 70 point, right? It was around 70 if people were greedy, and then it dropped off to 51 and really 48 around the 3rd of August. 48 people became more fearful, kind of like how we are now. We're at 48 again. So what was Bitcoin doing around August 3rd? If you look over here at August 3rd, the price dropped a lot and people were fearful. It was at the most feared point. And then the prices started jumping. We're at 48 again, right? And since we are at 48 again, we also just came off of 42. So we came off of not massive fear, but we came off of a lot of fear. It was down here at rank 39, really, on the 30th of August. And if you look over here, what Bitcoin was doing around the 30th of August, it was at 108K and people were pretty fearful. And now it's rising. So it's still at a 48, which means that it's still closer to fear, but it's a little bit neutral right now, but it's leaning more towards the fear side. So we might have a little bit more push to the upside here for Bitcoin. Now, let's talk about the charts. We can see here on the weekly chart for Bitcoin that we do have some buyers stepping back in. You can see it right here. The selling is getting a little bit smaller and buyers are trying to step back in. So we could have another potential rise inside the price. Remember, this is the weekly chart for Bitcoin. And then you can also see over here, the percent R trend exhaustion is now curving back upwards on the long-term trend. Short-term trend kind of still trending downwards for the percent R trend exhaustion. So then when you come over here and look at the daily chart, you can see that the MACD is also looking a little bit, selling off a little bit, still a little bullish, but it's selling off. So the selling pressure is coming in on the daily chart. So this is kind of making people a little bit fearful. This is where the fear factor comes in, right? And yeah, fear factor, like, yeah, no pun intended. But look, this is where the fear factor comes in. We see the short-term trend is now starting to trend downwards. The long-term trend is also kind of trying to trend downwards a little bit as well, right? And if we come over here to the 4-hour chart, we can see that the buying is now coming in. So these are all mixed signals, which is why we're seeing the fear greed index is neutral, because Bitcoin is sending a lot of mixed signals. And that's why we're a little bit neutral right now. So we came over here to the 1-hour chart. We see something a little bit different, not much pressure, not much volume. So it's kind of hard to track things right now. But what I like to look at is past performance. So on the way up here, we kept having 32% drops. We had a 32% drop here, and we had a 32% drop here. So I thought that we were going to have another 32% drop when we had that pullback. I was looking at that pullback. I was like, yeah, it's definitely going down 32. But then we stopped halfway down there and it kept going up. There are a lot of people that are saying that it could quite possibly pull back a little more and we could still come down here to that level. That'd be 85K if we pulled back 32%. So just keep that in mind. But as of right now, on the daily chart, the sellers, like I was saying before, have kind of stepped out and, not stepped out, but the sellers are coming in and the buyers have kind of stepped out. So that's what it's looking like on the daily chart. And then if we come over here to the 4-hour chart, we can see that buyers are starting to step in on the short term. So yes, it is hard to track things here, but Bitcoin overall is still bullish long term, and that's really all that matters. So Jerome Powell, the Federal Reserve Chair, will speak on the 23rd of September, and then that's probably going to do some numbers to the market. So we're going to see whether or not we're going to rise or not. And then on the 26th, we're going to get the core PCE. We're going to also get the income for the month over month to see what people are sitting around. But the most important thing that you need to remember is the 23rd is going to be Jerome Powell's speech. So that is going to manipulate the markets a lot. And yes, I said manipulate because that's really what that does to the markets. So as of right now on the 4-hour chart, we are slightly bearish. So if we look at the short term for Bitcoin, we are slightly bearish. Percent R trend exhaustion, long-term trend is coming down. The white line being the short-term trend is also coming down. But the white line is almost all the way down, so it could recover and revive and then kind of help the long-term trend back upwards. So we could see that. But yeah, short-term, it's looking slightly bearish for Bitcoin, which is why we see the fear. But long-term, when you look at the weekly chart, this thing's still bullish. It's overbought, yes, but it's still bullish. The MACD shows that the sellers can't take over. Buyers keep stepping in. There's more buying pressure than selling pressure, as you can see here, way more buying pressure than selling pressure. So the long term, when you look at the weekly chart, we are still bullish here inside of Bitcoin. Percent R trend exhaustion also curving upwards. So all in all, we are in a good space for Bitcoin still long term. So we still have until the end of the year. And again, I believe Bitcoin is going to hit about 150K by the end of the year, or by the beginning of next year, like January to February of next year, anywhere from 150K to 200K. I'm leaning closer to 150K, so I guess we could say 170, but I still think 150 is that level. But let me know what you guys think about this. This is all I got for you all today. Hit the like button, subscribe, all that good stuff. Remember, I'm not a financial advisor, and that's just financial advice. Leave a comment in the comment section, and as always, I'll be back with another video.